Hey everybody, what's going on? Happy Friday. Looks like got Google right. It's 2 for 2, Tesla and Google. Boom, shakalaka. Welcome. I guess I got Delta Airlines right and Love Airlines right too, technically. So on a roll. And if you look over here, check it out. The 50K challenge off to a nice start. Not too shabby right there. And I'm not logged in, but this is me. And all the time, of course, we still, I used a Robinhood account that had some trades in it from long ago. Had a couple shares of stuff from long ago. So that's still weighing in here all time. But for trades that have done this right now, you can see, here we go. Last week, which is this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. There's the trades. Not too shabby right there. Says I'm profitable for the last month, the last 3 months, the last year. There you go. Off to a good start. See if we can't keep it going. 50. Yeah, this is 459 bucks, and Robinhood says I'm up like 650 bucks for the week, roughly. But that's still a drop in the bucket compared to where I gotta be for $50,000 a month. So I mean, this is a real focused thing. I'm not. There's no sales pitch here either. Like this is a real thing I'm doing for me. If you want to follow along, here's the link to K-Info. If you want the trades, Termite Trading Lab is the way you get them. I'm not trying to sell that. I'm just telling you if you want the actual trades as they happen. Now, if you want more information, I'm posting more information on what the actual positions are inside the members area for YouTube. If you're at dropped a bunch of stuff, cool. I am posting like what the actual, what I get into inside the members. Like if you become a channel member, it's like $5 a month. You can see what the positions are. So if you actually want to know the actual trades in the size I take them, as I take them, that's Termite Trading Lab inside Discord. Any questions, you can let me know. And it is rainy here today, pouring. It's been rainy for like 3 days, but that helps my got up all the pollen out of the air, so almost clear and clean and can breathe. Got a little touch of stuff up in here, concrete, but doing better. Rain clearing it out of the air. All right, moving on. All trading involves a substantial risk of loss. Past performance not necessarily indicative of future results. This presentation is intended to be informational, educational, fun, entertaining, not a recommendation to be buying or selling any financial instrument, including stocks, options, bonds, forex, futures, cryptos, treasuries. Don't long them, don't short them, don't trade them. You might lose money. I make predictions. Sometimes I get it right. Sometimes we don't. Here you go. Look at this. Exports from China to the United States. Look at this thing drop off right here. Right off a cliff. We're down to lows we had when the market was like, we thought the market was going to break down and plummet out. China exports to the United States. Look at that. Look at that plummet right there. COVID. Are we going to go down to the COVID low? I don't know. We could if this thing prolongs. We're seeing a lot of stress in Chinese. I talked about the ethane earlier. Plastic factories all over the country shutting down. They just don't have any feedstock. And then we're seeing other industries having to shut down. There's no orders. Everybody canceled their orders. They, in anticipation of this trade war, there was a hot loading of orders. And then it's fallen off the cliff. And the port of LA is looking at greatly reduced traffic in the next, say, 3 weeks. And they're projecting ginormous, just it's almost going to be economic devastation, I guess you might say, for everybody that relies on the port of LA. There's truckers and all sorts of stuff that's with no traffic, no goods traffic coming into the port. I mean, we're talking about I'm saying, drastically reduced traffic. This is the largest port in the United States, and drastically reduced imports is going to put some hurting on Southern California. And let's see if I have another chart. I was trying to remember. And let's see. And just, where am I getting my information about factories being shut down? It literally, you follow stuff like this where they've closed the factory lines, and they're posting about it on their own, in their social media and stuff, and then it gets reposted. So it's pretty widespread. Big factories that never shut down. So pretty wild stuff. It's gonna get interesting. How long can China last? I'd say Xi there in Beijing can hold out much longer than the people, and since it's a communist place, just tell everybody to suffer through. But the damage will be done. It'll be hard to just spin that stuff right back up. So China could actually be facing a negative GDP print. And that might be when it gets real for China, if they actually do a negative GDP print. So today we had, that's next week. Still on next week. Today we have, I was like, today? That's not today. Today we have not really much. We got the consumer sentiment and inflation coming out at 10. That'd be like 40 minutes from now. And 38 minutes from now. Then we have next week, not a lot on here as far as economic news wise goes. Got the federal election for Canada, the Great White North, 51st state, as Trump calls it. We'll see conservatives or liberals who's going to win. I don't know. Don't have any. I don't even really care. Then we've got JOLTS jobs on Tuesday. Some GDP on Wednesday. That could be a little spicy, depending on how we're going. If GDP's ticking up, so it's kind of an interesting thing there too. Like, CEOs are the most bearish on the U.S. economy they've been since like COVID. Yet there's been no layoffs. There's been very little move to the jobless claims. It's kind of interesting. And I just saw this too. Customs revenue. Look at that, $12 billion in we just doubled our customs revenue. That's the number that Trump is talking about. We've never pulled in more money on tariffs. Right there, $12 billion. That's pretty good. It's amusing to me almost. So we'll see how that all works out. We'll see how it shakes out. Yeah, here's the Port of LA, April 20th to 26th. This is what I was talking about as far as plummeting. As we're getting close to 50% down. I mean, 34% year over year. We had a hot load. We had a large increase right before the tariffs kicking in, and these are TEUs. That's the units coming in. So 120,000 in that week, down to 70,000. It's a big drop off. And we can see this continue to plummet on down pretty drastically. So that's the next week, and then the week after. And then we'll see what happens after that. So, yeah, it's something to keep an eye on, on it. As I said, the unintended consequences of the new policies. I was attributing it mostly to Doge, but that's kind of slowed down, and now we're seeing other consequences of is good, bad, or ugly. The market loves stability. Changing policy is instability in what's going on. So, yeah, stay frosty, my friends. We gotta stay flexible. So we've got the market opening in like 4 minutes. This has come back up to the critical level. Didn't quite step across it during the market open yesterday. On the cash index, look what we've done overnight here. Pushed into it, but turned red and rejected back out. Right there. Interesting stuff, I feel like. All the things we were looking for to happen on the downside happened. Let's just remove all these things. Kind of come back at it clean. Come back at it clean and kind of talk about where we are and what we got to watch for. So here's the high right there. That's the high. This is the low that's important right now. Right down here. You see where the 618 level is? Right there, 56.16. These are the important numbers. I've been talking 56 to 58 for a good long while. That's still the zone that we need to focus on. Right down, right there. And we're going to color that one red. That's the danger zone, if you will. If we get above it, great. If we don't, that's a big problem. I'll label it the danger zone. Let's see. And let's make it a little bigger. That should be fun, right? Pop up in there. So right now, holding the line. We came up off the lows very violently, retraced very violently, and then we drifted higher right into this resistance. So what's next? What's next? Remember, all the new stuff, all the policy, all the everything, it doesn't matter. Like, we did all this. I kind of predicted we were going to do all this last summer. Crazy enough that we would go up here, hit all-time highs, pull back. It didn't matter who won the presidency. We were going to do this. It's in the charts. This whole thing is charts. So no matter what the thing is that causes us to turn down from here, if we pop up here, some news item that gets blamed for that, it was already in the chart. And if we pop through, everybody's like, oh, it's all priced in. And then we turn down from over here, and it's some economic disaster. It's all in the chart already. That's going to be the mind-blowing thing. So what would be the problem here? I don't know. What would be the problem here? I don't know. Like, the reasons don't matter. They don't even matter. That's the craziest part of this whole thing. The price pattern is already in play. We're either going down from here or we're going down from up here. And up here can be as high as, just right around 7,000. As high as 7,000. It can be anywhere from 62 to, it's like an 800 point range. So you got to be careful. This is a time to be very, very careful. That's the bottom line. Bottom line, these charts are dangerous. We saw this poke through, but the danger zone's right there. That's NASDAQ right there. We poked through. Can we get the continuation? That's the big question. We're sitting right there at that level. It's right there at it. Now, what might happen, might come back down, retest the breakout before we can push into this zone. Very well might be what happens. Gonna have to stay on our toes. Now, Google reported earnings last night. It was blowout, but it only managed to move up about 3%. Only after being beat down like all of that. This zone right here is weighing. It's major resistance right here for Google too. Major resistance. My 141 play, selling the put at 141, going out for a full profit. Selling the whatever it was, 130 put, going out, went out for basically full profit also. That was on, that was this one right here. It's not gonna let me click on it unless I log in. So that worked out. Tesla over here, just kind of churning. Major resistance here. We're kind of trying to break through. Seeing this a lot on a few of these. We may have to do a retrace before we can pop up. Right there. And other things reporting earnings this week, or next week, not this week. This week's basically done. When I talk about this week, coming up. Let me, I threw the tweet into, post, whatever, into, see if I can open that browser. There we go. Grab it right here. This is one from this week, right? And then next week's. Dun, 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 dun. I was looking for next week's. Let's see it off the top of my head. Let's see if I can find it really quickly. That's the one they have pinned to their chin. Oh, there's next week's right there. How do I get the image on a new tab? Drop it over. So there we go for next week. Cool. We've got Kimberly Clark, Xilinx. However you say that, Xilinx. I think that's how you say it. Boot Barn in here. We made some good money on Boot Barn in the past. AMD, Microsoft, Starbucks, Texas Instruments. It's gonna be a spicy week. It looks like. D.R. Horton, Housing, Johnson & Johnson, Boeing in here. They just announced a very large order, so Boeing probably going to have pretty good earnings. I don't know if the reaction on earnings is going to be good, but companies usually announce good news. Like they're like, they get so excited. They're like, oh man, things are going to be so good. We got to release some news and tell everybody how good we're doing. And so they reported the largest order they've had for years in March, ahead of doing earnings coming up next week. So probably going to have some good earnings. I don't know if that'll result in a big pop. We can look at the chart. Apple, don't know why Tesla's on there. That's weird. Facebook, that's kind of weird. Tesla already had earnings. And these guys are slipping a little bit, I guess. Visa, Where's everybody else? Let's see. Meta should be on here. Yeah, Meta's on here. Amazon should be on here. I don't see Amazon. Microsoft is on there. Yeah. Caterpillar, McDonald's is on there. Oh, this is January. What the heck? It's January. Come on. Come on now. Yeah. Like that's their number. That's the second post on their page. It's funny enough. All right. Whatever. I'll find it later. All right. So Meta earnings right there. Microsoft earnings right there. Got Apple right there. And we've got Amazon right there. So this ought to be fun, right? Next week, bunch of earnings. Ought to be a lot of fun. I don't know. You tell me, fun or not fun? So all of these kind of breaking through their downtrend. Maybe we get it. It's going to depend on what happens, I guess. What happens in the markets? Do we create up pressure or down pressure? If we start retracing to retest that breakout on NASDAQ, all of these may have down pressure next week. So McDonald's still has that up pressure. I actually took a new entry right here, looking for that final little move. That was a daily setup from what, last week? Right there, we had the entry Tuesday of last week. Look for that final little push. PGR decided to retrace after the entry. Now these both have really, like, rewind to what I was talking about yesterday. When you've got more trades than we need to be statistical, which is 30, you've got over 80 and over 2. Those are my 3 kind of criteria. Like, looks pretty good. So we've got that high in place. We've got this low down here. And this basically sets up a target right here at 300. 299, 300. Now, the fact it's down here, messing around, it's not really a big deal. Could it fail? It absolutely could fail. The chart is bullish, though. It's a bullish setup. Could you buy a few shares now? Sure. If you're more aggressive, you want to just sell some puts right in here, that could work. If you want to play options, you got to have enough time. This could take a couple months to play out. So you got to have your time frame in mind. The MCD, this looks like it could just reach up and hit that, but it might, we look back in the history, sometimes it takes a little while to get going here. Kind of drift in cycles on McDonald's. And that one took a little while. Entry right here, churn, pop right up into the target. But then we took it right back. So cool, man. Moving my alert. There we go. So looking for that one to pop. Let's go on through a few of the normal things we look at. Russell just kind of churning here. Might give it back. CL. Sitting, waiting. Rejected off the upside resistance. I still think we might see this break down and come down. I could swear I've deleted this off of here before, but it's back. It's back. GC. Guess what? 1, 2, 3. So this is probably an A wave right now. We may see it come down to 31. May see a B wave back up. And then we get that C wave down here somewhere out in May or June. Be careful, everybody. Let's look at that smaller time frame here really quickly. See what we got cooking. That looks like, yeah. So here's what we got cooking. So we go to an hourly. Get a little tighter. First move down, the retrace. Next move down puts us right down here in this vicinity. Probably coming on down here. Then we'll probably do a 3-wave retrace of some sort. Could go fast, could go slow. We'll probably be back to a 618 of the entire drop. You know, roughly that ballpark right there. And then we'll probably do a bigger drop, equal in proportion. I love it when things are clear like this. Like, this is my jam. Potentially get something like that. Get a retrace like that. Get a bigger move down like this. Get a retrace like that. And a final move down. Somewhere in that vicinity. Probably out there. So anybody looking to long gold right now? That's what you're dealing with. As the potential. Now, where am I wrong? When it starts breaking back up through, right now, if it starts breaking up through this high, I consider I might be wrong on what I think is going to happen. Now, if we go down here and then come up, this can come all the way back up anywhere in here and still do this. It could even potentially make a slightly higher high and still do this. That's how crazy this is. So watch out for that right there. I'm probably going to step off my initial shorts at that 3,100 level. Then I might get back on it if we pop back up to that 3,300 level, because that would be an epic grab right there. I am short. Got shares of this. I was looking for this to pop back up to the daily roadmap line, but I might go ahead and close it early. Draw, please. There it is. Right up there. So looking for this somewhere up in here closer to the roadmap line, but yeah. I mean, you buy shares at 10, close at 12, and that's like 20%. Not bad for a few day hold. We can get a little more downside. So this one may actually do ramp up like this, a retrace before we come up here like that. So it'd be an opportunity to get back in, get out at 12, get back in at 10.50-ish, and then get back out at 15. Bitcoin working on the breakout here. Got to get through that 618. We stopped here for 3 days. We get on through. Sets up the target to 115,000 right there. Yeah, that'd be a pretty nice move. ETH. Doing nothing. Like, we can't get freaking 3 days in a row on Bitcoin and Ethereum. Just not happening for us. Bitcoin's got plenty of green days. ETH cannot get 3 in a row. And maybe Ethereum doesn't matter anymore. I don't know. Solana does have 3 green days in a row. So maybe we're going to take this higher. I don't know. Solana right here coming in number 6. Maybe it can push on up. The problems I got here with a lot of these coins is Bitcoin's almost entirely out in the open. Like, its total supply circulating is 19.8 million, and the total supply 21 million, and that'll take another 150 years before it's all out in the open. But we've already got, a large portion of the supply out there. Other coins, like Ethereum, has no cap, and it's actually inflating right now, and that puts a negative pressure on price. XRP only has 58% of its supply circulating. That means any additional supply hitting the market is inflationary. Binance Coin, inflationary. Solana, inflationary. Dogecoin, inflationary. I mean, most of the coins, people are like, oh, we'll just run it like the dollars. Avalanche, 58%. That's inflationary. And SHIB, they've capped it right there. We're basically at the cap, so. Bitcoin Cash in line with actual Bitcoin, 94% out in the markets. That's a fork off of Bitcoin from before, but it's not in the top 10. You look at the top 10, there's a drastic drop off in market cap once you get out of the top 10. These are all 20, 60 billion, 20 billion, 20 billion, 20 billion, 10 billion, 9 billion, 9 billion, 8 billion. Drastic drop off out of the top 10. Can something unseat Ethereum? It's quite possible. Tether's not far away, only about $50 billion away. But that's a stable coin. It's always going to be $1. It's pegged to the US dollar. And they take, basically they take the money that gets thrown into it and buy Bitcoin with it. So where's the opportunity to make money on Tether? I don't know. Don't really understand that. Anyway. We'll see if this can pass the mustard, so to speak. Pass the salt. This looks a lot like the rest of big tech right here. Got a danger zone. Gotta pop through. Get continuation. Bitcoin's already up here. Can other coins catch up? I'm not sure. Really not sure. NKD, an indication of global liquidity. We got the real test coming up right here. Another couple days, maybe even a day or two, we should be up in this vicinity. Unless we get a large pullback. I mean, large pullback's always possible, but the real test is right in here. If we get above it, that kind of sets us up at least for rally to here. And then and if we break out, we'll go on up to the bigger targets. Bigger targets being up here around 50,000. That's probably going to take everything up with it. Like crypto go up, US market go up, NASDAQ up, S&P up. Russell probably rally up to resistance. That looks positive right there. But we got to keep doing the bullish things. Dollar may have bottomed. This might be it on the downside for the dollar. I was talking about this the last couple of days. There's potential that this was it. That was the 618 retrace. And the next move potentially takes us much, much higher. Be looking at something like, here's the low, here's the high. Right there, here's the retrace to the 618. The next move on the dollar could potentially take us up here. Let's just go right there, 134. Let's say it's ambiguous. That could be what we're looking for. Now, I still expect some downside. Like if we break through this support here, potential to come all the way back down, take that whole move back. Still in the cards, but what if with everybody saying the dollar is failing, we do that and gold starts ramping down and just bust all the narrative? Really mess with everybody, I think. So, as far as stuff coming up with earnings next week, we've got Meta. Yeah, I already had Meta up. It's well above, but we're coming into that resistance. Microsoft coming into that resistance. And that low needs to be down at that low. It's all this resistance right here. Potential three-wave up. Meta made a lower low is the difference here. This one made the lowest low and has no retrace. So not really quite the same as the rest of NASDAQ. We look at QQQ, we made a much higher low, whereas Meta made a lower low. Apple here, very shallow low, really. So we're seeing a lot of potential strength in Apple. Got the resistance all cooking right here. Be the tell. If we pop up there on earnings, we've got to watch for retrace. If we can get through, we've got kind of clear air going on up to 276. So in Amazon, look at this one. We kind of did a higher low. It was very deep, but it still maintained a higher low. Still got all that resistance right there. So big resistance on a lot of big tech. Now, setups, let's just, I've got the list here. Gainers, things that were moving up $2 or more in the pre-market. Decliners, things that are moving down $2 or more in the pre-market. SAI, that's trucking. Look at that big whack right there. Miss on the top, miss on the bottom. Doesn't look good for logistics. Where might it find the bottom? We could be close to a bottom, but going down. XPO, more logistics. Get their earnings coming up. They may take a hit. Old Dominion. FedEx. JB Hunt may be looking for support right here and set up a big bounce. So that'll be interesting. All right, so things that were actually set up with an entry today. I have 47 of these. It's been this is potential breakout type stuff. Right there's your setup, 66. As far as statistics go, 51 trades, 84. And the only one missing, looking super nice, is that one right there. And it is higher than the average, but not over 2. I usually like them over 2, but beggars can't be choosers all the time. Although there's a lot of, it's a target rich environment, as they say, so you can kind of be a chooser, and I highly recommend that. Alterian MLP ETF. This sounds like something I need to buy in my double dip. Actually, looking for that move right there. Yeah, light on the numbers here, on pace with the average, and slightly better on the profit factor. So these probably don't really mean anything. You fall back on the average, 75%. That looks pretty darn good. APG. Yeah, Goose, just send me a message reminding me to buy that. Let's buy a couple shares in my for green line or for a double dip trade. That one looks pretty good right there. Not bad. ASTE. And a little. I'm not a fan of the downtrends. Like when I just my years of trading these patterns with this, indicator, I've never been a fan of when they're coming down into it and then it flattens out. Like that's just no trend, right? I'm a trend pullback continuation. When you got the roadmap line flat as a board, that's no trend. That doesn't mean it won't work. It's not trending. So 38.84. It's got, this, that's more than a statistical population. That's slightly below average and slightly above average. So it's just an average kind of ticker here with a potential to go up about $3. ATEC. It might have bottomed back here. New trend, 13 on this one. Not, these numbers don't really mean much. They fall back on the statistical average. Go up to that one, down to that one, 68. This one's been rocking, though. Look at the numbers right here. Like, even though this is not statistically significant, 85 and 8.5. I mean, that's, if you can keep up the pace, this one doing really well. Base, try not to read into them, but it's hard not to get excited about some of these. That's another one. Look at that downtrend. Holy, that just makes me feel like we're gonna fail out right there on that one. So got a high back here, we've got a low down here. That was the entry. 2050 would be the uptrend, would be the upside target. BCRX, a much more reasonable looking chart here. You just, you see how this, even though it's biotech, like you see how this makes it look nicer. Now, yep, this is low price stuff, not statistically significant, kind of fails more than the average, and profit factor is negative. So then it's biotech, and it's like, that may not be one you want to get involved in. BEKE, the beak. 2661, 3 trades in the history, and kind of marginal on the setup. Lean back to historical across thousands of tickers. There's no reason to believe that won't work, but this ticker is not the most reliable. So, these down here kind of indicate when they're abysmal, maybe this ticker doesn't trend. Maybe it just chops. And if a ticker chops, it's not going to make, this trending pullback continuation pattern is not going to work out so well. That's what the statistics really tell me. All right. Is it more of a choppy ticker or is it more of a trending ticker? If it's got a long history of trending, that's one that, looks pretty darn good. This one right here is going to be that setup right there. Looking for a 29 on the upside. Little less than the average here. BLX is the wrong BLX, I'm sure. Need this one, which is Banco Latinoamericano de Comercio. 45. Yeah, this one almost statistically significant. Need a couple more trades. 78, not bad. 1.3, and it's kind of in line with the average. So this is just an average trending kind of stock right here. 45 on the target. BPOP, BPOP. There's the high, there's the low, there's the target, or there's the setup. The entry target 1150. Not bad. Does come in a light on the statistics. BSX. Now that looks like a really nice chart. Beautiful, solid uptrend. That's a trending stock. Nice pullback. Beautiful potential for continuation. The numbers are a little light, but beautiful potential for continuation right there. 110.50 upside. COF, Capital One. This did report earnings. Got that. We've got that 222 up there. CPNG. Coupang. Guessing it grabbed that high. There's the entry, 27. This has been kind of a choppy one. A little less awesome. Torrid Holdings curve. $7. That's never fired off an entry before, so at least not one that this software liked, my algorithm liked. So that one may or may not work out, and it's low price stuff, so be careful. I probably wouldn't touch it. DFS right there. Set up for the pop, 217. This one also reported earnings. Very, very nice. And that could be a nice one. Duolingo. We've had our eye on this one, and there's the entry, 475 on the target. It's not been the best historically for, it's not been around a long time. Kind of a new stock. ESE, 32 trades. Yeah, this one has all the stuff right here. Look, 32. Check. 81. Check. 2.2. Check. That's a really good one. Check plus, plus, plus. Look for 176 on the target. There's the entry right there at 158. Ride it up. Nice. EWH. Looks a little choppier. Here's the entry. 19 is the target. Just a quiet little, usually trends about like the average. EXEL. Here's the high. Here's the low. There's the setup. There's the target, 41. Nice trender. Last one worked out pretty good. And it's just a quiet little potentially trender. Borrow. Here's the high. Here's the low. 34 is the target. We got to fall back on the average numbers for many of these that don't have a statistical population. Stat pop. And 67 on that one. 19. Yeah, if you like these, make sure you give me a thumbs up and stuff and share. You know, the attendance on the video is not saying that you guys are enjoying these so much. So. Everybody wanted trades. I'm throwing out trades, but it doesn't seem that they're as popular as everybody thought. Like, sometimes people don't necessarily want what they think they want. They go back to the other content. So this one, that's not statistically popular, stat pop, but these two run a little better than average right there. So might underperform. And G-Wire. I mean, I know the people that are here love it, but, you know, attendance dropping off, so kind of the numbers don't lie to me. And if you're not enjoying the content, you quit watching. So 228 target on that one. HBT. There's the setup. Here's the potential, 27, 37. And that one doesn't have a statistical population, but it has worked out every time it's set up in the past, so I could keep that rocking and rolling. The 27 on the target. Intuit. Ooh, nasty choppy chart. I'm not sure I like that. I don't think I would touch that with my money or your money or anybody's money. 657 possible. It doesn't mean it won't work, but that does not look good. And here's a high, here's a low. Here's the entry, 73.95 MFC. There you go, 33.51. Same target, same pattern, same target. How do I find these? I built a tool that finds them. It took me years to hone out the algorithm to do that. So it's definitely not easy. I mean, I'm a relatively smart guy. It was not easy to figure out all the little nuance to filtering these out. To actually finding high probability. I mean, I slapped something together many times over the years and it just was chop. It just found choppy stuff. Figuring out the actual like filters that I had to use to get rid of the choppy crap and just find the good ones took time. This bigger pattern will kick off up here, but the smaller pattern on this one is right here, looking for 1650. MLPX, that one stopped out the last one promptly. So now we have this potential was 67.36, 6 trades, and just kind of choppy. MWA, Mueller. These are, I've looked these up. These guys make fire hydrants. Mueller is a fire hydrant brand. So water lines and valves and energy. This has been a popular one. Looks like 124 on the upside there. 18, 61. Yeah, kind of choppy though. Oddity. Probably picked up that. 50 on the upside, but that's very choppy and kind of flat. Be careful on that one. Preferred bank. Wow. Talk about a retrace. I'd be looking at that right there, and it didn't fire off. So I would be careful on this one. The algorithm found this setup right there. Notice that my TradingView one with a little bit better filtering didn't kick off right there. I would be careful on that one. PHX. There's the high. Here's the low. One fired off. 423 up there. Real. Here's the high. Here's the low. $7. This is, low price stuff. Be careful. Region. Here's the high. Here's the low. Ooh. That was probably the high. To get that target. Manually, I would pull that up there, and it didn't fire off yet. But this one, pretty smoking hot if it can actually fire that entry. And then 198. That's a fat target right there. So giving it a little extra time. I mean, you could buy now, but be careful. Nice win rate, though. Not statistically significant, but nice win rate. RMD. It's kind of like nice win rate. And flip a coin twice. Well, you get 100%. Nice win rate, but doesn't really mean anything when you flip a coin twice. There's the target, 272. This one, good here. Below average here and below average here. It's kind of a below average on ResMed. Sage. That one fired off right there. That's a giant downtrend. Like, is this bottoming? I don't know. Low price stuff, under $10. I don't know. Biotech, pharma, I don't know. That's a lot of I don't knows, and I'd probably skip it. SEIC. High and low, they're kicking off. 90 on the upside. And this one, 30 trades, bing, 81, better than average. Profit factor 1. Meh. Might work, but it might not. I like the ones that have a strong profit factor, because this means for every loss you make 2 pennies. For every dollar you lost, you make 2 cents. That's only 2% return on your losses. That's not very good. STE, 2% capital return. Capital appreciation. Anyway, 241. This, so 39. Check. Rounds up to 84. This is a good one. $224. That's $20 basically upside. 20 or $15 upside. Not a bad shake. If you want to know the percent gain potential, there you go, like 7%. 7% upside on shares. STLD. Downtrend. Caution. Here's the high. Here's the low. That kicks it off. 145 is the current target. If it can manage the breakouts. 27. 77. And these are slightly better, but that, could just be average when it comes into 30 trades, 3 more trades. UTG. I found that bounce right there. I'd probably be looking for that bounce up here. And this is not the strongest one, so moving on. BCIT. Algorithms are not perfect. They do the best they can, but sometimes there's a little visual aspect to it. Incredibly difficult to account for all possible combinations. And like I said, there's some filtering that goes on that I tried to build into both scripts. Since the price, there's a couple different problems. One, I'm using 2 different price sources, and the pricing, even though you would think that the charts are the same, there's pricing anomalies that happen, especially on some of these lower volume tickers. where the prices don't and the charts don't necessarily match between TradingView and another data source, which is a live brokerage account at Alpaca and Alpaca markets. And so that's one problem. Two, the way that EMAs are calculated in TradingView is different than the way they're calculated in the data science application of Python. Just back to the statistics thing. Exponential moving averages, there's different ways you can do it, and just so happens that Python does it differently than the way TradingView does it. So that creates another difference. And this one's set up for a rally to 82 right there. 10 trades, 70, 37.37. That's a loser. Walmart, look at this. This is good stuff right here. 67, yeah, 67. Lots of trades. And this worked out the last couple that fired off on Walmart. This is lower than average. Not my favorite, but this is higher than average. Much, much higher than average. When it wins, it wins. Look at that 109. Last time this one worked out, I think I took it. Yeah, I think we took both of these back here, or several of these back here. I may have even taken that bigger one right there. Walmart's been pretty spicy over the years. WWMD. There's the high, there's the low. 206 on the target. Pretty good. A little light. So good, light. Now this is just missing one trade, so the last one did stop out, so be careful. Last but not least, Zoom. No job, no house, no GF. No GIF. I can get you a GIF. It's got to load the right meme, and you can have all the GIFs you want. And bigger picture, there's the high. Here's the low. Potential breakout. 93 right there. So you bring your own reality. So you're going to talk crap about yourself, you're going to have a bad time. That's the long and the short of it. You bring your own reality. If you don't believe me, it's okay. I write down affirmations every day about what I want, and it just keeps coming to me. There's the actual setup the algorithm found. 3 trades, never had a winner. It's a big goose egg, so be careful. Zoom tends to be a choppy stock. What that says to me. Doesn't have a statistical population, but it does tend to be a choppy stock. So next up, let's check a few of the decline. That's gainers or decliners? Decliners. Was it a decliner? Now we're popping. Not bad. So the market turning around here. We're gonna keep rallying into the danger zone. Take it on up. Major resistance right there. We'll see what happens. So I'm still expecting higher. Hadn't cracked into it yet on the S&P. We're getting there, but we haven't stepped across the line. Now, smaller time frame. What do we got to watch out for? Right now, this is one big move up. You know, barely a back test. Barely a back test. So 4-hour roadmap line is right there. We could pop up there today, and then we may reject off of it. Could get there today, especially if we had any kind of tariff news that got the market especially excited like we did over here. But somebody banging their head on their horn out there, I guess. And I do expect some sort of retrace. Like either could cook today, or we could come on up here and try it out. There's one cooking, so I would be cautious. I wouldn't be super directional today. If we start down, we're probably coming down for 618 retrace of this move up. If we can push on through and start down, we may do a 618 of this whole move up before we get the real test to see if we're going to reject. So if we hit 5,600, 5-wave down, 3-wave retrace, we're going big down. We do a 3-wave off retrace, probably going to break through and go higher. So the next correction is the big tail. The next big correction off of this 5,800 area. It could fake us out, but that's, it'll give us more indication which way we're going, which way to plan for next. All right. Thanks everybody for coming. We'll be back again on Monday. I'll have all the weekend update stuff out over the weekend, and look forward to seeing you. Come hang out in Discord. Links in the description if you want to come join me. $5. If you want to join the 50K challenge, here you go. Right there. Post it on KInfo and be a channel member. You find out what I'm trading. If you want to know all the trades, Termite Trading Lab. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you again soon.